Let's make our NX2000 a little more pretty. Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of Project NX2K. That is our 1993 Nissan NX2000. And guys, we're through the mechanical stuff. Let's pretty this car up. It's going to be a two-part series. There is a lot of exterior work we need to do to make this thing look passable. Again, not going for concourse. Never could if I had to. But just let's make it look passable. Let's get in the garage and get a little shiny. Yeah. So clearly we have a lot of work to do on the exterior of our NX, and I don't plan to have this thing looking great. I just want it to be a little more passable, and I don't want to spray the whole car. I just don't think the project's there now. So let's at least clean it up, kind of dirty down here. We got some clear places to paint. The trim as well, we're gonna have to hit that up for sure. But you know, come around the rear, this is gone. That's just gone clear coat. That rear spoiler is gone. Yeah, this bumper could use probably some attention. It's got some good crinkle impact lines there, that little loveliness you get from a lot of good impacts. But yeah, same deal. This clear coat's gone up here. You can see it right there. The good old stuff. Repainting the trim always does add a lot to the car, so we'll probably be doing that. Same through here where you can see that chrome, we'll repaint that. But yeah, you can see the hood's pretty rough too, some clear coat coming off. You know how it is. This front clip I might just repaint because it is hideous. I gotta do something with these broken fog lights. Anyway, let's see what we can do. Let's at least clean her up. I actually am a super big fan of the wheels on the NX2000. I think they look cool. I think they've aged pretty well. Not particularly these ones. As you can see, this center cap here, let me zoom in so you can see it even better. That's not good for business. Lots of fade. This is plastic, so you really can't do anything to bring that back other than sand it all down, primer and paint, which we'll be doing. If you want to talk about burnt on brake dust, guys, this is intense. You can see the entire outside area of this wheel covered in baked on brake dust. Now, a wire brush is not going to get that off. We're going to have to sand that down and totally respray this wheel. Unfortunately, that's a lot of work, but that's the only way we can make that look good. We do have some pretty interesting curb rash, which we always see with older cars. So we're gonna Dremel that down, obviously clean it up before we respray, but let's get this wheel off and start refinishing them. I had myself completely convinced that I'd have to go ahead and respray these wheels. They're actually not that bad. I took some degreaser, tested a little area, and it came pretty clean. So I think we are just going to use some regular engine degreaser, guys. Get in there, scrub pretty hard, maybe get some scrub brushes out, some brass brushes, if you will, to hit some of these baked on brake dust areas and clean that up. Now, obviously, we cannot do anything about this curb rash here without taking a Dremel to it, grinding it down, making it flat, and then we probably have to add some paint there, unfortunately, but it is a lip, so if we just paint that lip with a brush, it probably will look pretty good and save us respraying the entire wheel. Now, obviously, we do have those center caps we're gonna have to do. Those have to be painted. They're plastic, they look like crap. Let's do that, but let's see what we can do with just some degreaser and some elbow grease added to the degreaser and see what we can do to clean this wheel up, because if we can keep the original finish, that's always a plus. Let's see what we can do. I'm actually super impressed how that degreaser worked. Time to get out the old Dremel 3000, one of my go-to favorite tools for this kind of stuff. Got a little sanding block on here. We're gonna go around this whole like upper lip area that's been the curbing center of attention. Now, obviously this lip has protected the rest of the wheel. There's not too much damage going on there, so that's kind of a plus, but we're probably gonna have to add some paint after. We'll see how it looks, but smoothing out these saw blade marks where it's obviously touched concrete, that's such a big deal maker when it comes to cleaning up a wheel. So let's go ahead and level that off, make it nice and smooth. Now we're talking. This wheel is looking super fresh now. Really clean look to it.
I don't even think I'm gonna paint. I think just polishing that down with the Dremel got it to look close enough to the regular color. Why waste time and possibly putting brush strokes on that? Obviously, not concourse level, guys, but a good way to bring a wheel back. This looks pretty good. We need to replace the center cap, and that's what we're gonna do next, because we gotta paint that bad boy. It's plastic, so gonna be a little more work, but we gotta get it to match this and look good. Also, gotta do this 3 more times. Yeah. Here is that horrendous center cap for the Nissan NX wheel. Yeah, as you can see, the paint has come up and it looks pretty gnarly. It's really rough to the touch. So we're gonna get after it. It's plastic though. You don't wanna really use something too aggressive because you can scratch the hell out of it. So I'm gonna start with like a 320. I'm gonna do this all by hand because I'm just old school like that. And then move up to like a 600, then we'll prime and paint. But we gotta get this soft and smooth. This is rough. If you just painted it like this with primer and paint, it would look like crap, especially you can see all this old paint. You'd see that line for sure. So let's clean these up a bit by hand and get to it. Well, now you're probably wondering why this looks like a watermelon or kiwi color piece. It's because that's the yellow orange with some of the silver mixed in. It's completely flat. I ended up using a more aggressive 150 grit to start off because it was so rough, then went to a 600. So it's pretty smooth now. Again, I'm not going for the perfect thing here, guys, but this is gonna be nice. Now, with all this, there's still some obviously loose stuff, even though I've blown it off. We wanna use some isopropyl alcohol or prep spray. Now, these things clean the surface and will help with paint adhesion. So we're gonna hit it up with some prep spray next. Here's our prep spray, and it's always really good to use this before you put down some paint. Now, you need to let it dry, obviously, before you do the paint, but just go ahead and get it nice and soaked with that. And it's kind of works the same as isopropyl alcohol. It dries really quickly, and when it does, you'll be able to put that primer down and have some really good adhesion. Primer. Our primer is dry. Let's go ahead and add some silver, hyper silver to be exact. Wheel paint. I like the Duplicolor stuff. Works really good. Should match pretty close to the stock alloy wheel. Let's do it up. It's time to start working over this trim on the NX. A lot of times painting this trim, restoring it, really adds a ton to the aesthetics of the exterior of the vehicle. For this guy, we gotta take off some of this old crusty stuff. If you leave any of that like that, you'll see it when you paint and it looks horrible. So we gotta take it all off, obviously sand all that nice chrome stuff. Yeah, and then throw some good satin black. It's just, it's gone. It looks horrible like this. So let's go ahead, we'll just pick at it for a little bit and then go from there. It is now time, after doing way too much prep masking here, to take all this down, sand it as smooth as possible, and get ready to put that primer on afterwards. So let's smooth it down, guys. Power sander, let's go. Isopropyl alcohol before we paint. Prepping off for trim painting is not for the faint of heart, guys. As you can see, we have a lot, and I mean a lot, of tape and plastic. Drop cloth to catch all that overspray, and you'll still see overspray when I'm done, I assure you, but it is not at all for the faint of heart, guys. This is a lot of work just to paint a little bit of trim. But let's see if it's worth it when we're done. Using an automotive primer, sandable and fillable, which is really good for this kind of a job. So nice gray primer. We're gonna go ahead and put a couple good coats of that down before we paint. And that'll help that paint stick on there a little longer. And our paint will go with this Krylon Fusion, which is really solid paint. The paint primer, it lasts a lot longer than basic spray paint, and it's satin, so it'll match the original trim color. So Hopefully we get there. Every little bit helps with this not prettiest car ever, but let's do it up. Time to get that satin black on there.
And we're done with the trim. Check it out, guys. It looks so much better. It's all a uniform satin black. To include those really rusty and stainless steel looking front wipers, they're gonna look so sharp, but I mean, you can't really see it with all the masking still on the car. Once you take it off, you'll see. And it is small, right? The amount of painting we did is kind of small, but the impact should be pretty big. I think this helps out a lot. Now you can see that black trim comes around the back. We got our rear wiper. Look, it's so good. And I like how satin has a sheen, but it's still not like gloss. Yeah, this is looking fantastic, guys. A lot of work to do these kind of jobs, but are they worth it? You bet. All right, let's take all this paper and tape off.